Kenenbaev. Hello, thanks for joining us on another episode of our podcast. We're joined today with Bakyt Kenenbaev, which I said 10 times before we started, and I still forgot, with Max Force, and he's a roofing company. We also have Mike Stanley on here and Slavy Jordanov with me. So today is actually perfect timing because we were all woken up, or at least all of us on this side of town were woken up by some sirens this morning at 5:15, maybe some hail around 1. So today is a perfect day to have you on to tell us how the process works.
Big
either from
storm
hail
with a
damage
tornado.
or tornado, yes. Tornado in mine and Stanley's old neck of the woods.
Yes, in Hilliard.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. Quite honored, and this looks very fancy to me. I'm a little bit nervous, but
we're just talking.
Yeah, but anyways, yes, the weather this morning. A lot of people got woken up by those alarms, sirens, and so I hear that there's been some areas where there was some severe wind, hail. Well, we'll see. There may be something else this afternoon.
Yeah, we definitely had hail because I heard it. And then shortly after that, we had the sirens go off. And where I used to live over around Alton Darby and Renner, we would always have high winds in there whenever storms hit. It was almost like the storms were more severe, like between 71 and 70 in that southwest quadrant. So
they are, because that's where everything comes from the west. Not everything, but 90% of our storms come from the west. So if you're on the far western edge, you're going to get hit hardest by it because once it goes through the city, it usually dies down a little bit.
But it's literally almost like 70 is also the cutoff.
Yeah.
It's like we're literally divided by 70 and 71.
Right.
So it's just interesting how that works. But a lot of farmland's out that way, so the winds are stronger, I guess. So, So I've known people who've gotten siding replaced from hail damage, roofs replaced from hail damage, and now you get the high winds from the tornado. What do you think you'll see most of?
Well, it depends. First of all, it's all about the severity. Typically, winds exceeding 60 miles an hour may start causing wind damage to shingles, occasionally to siding. The stronger the wind, the more damage it may cause. If it's not that super strong, but there was a couple of gusts, what may happen is that some of the shingles, particularly on the 3-tab roofs, may be blown or just lifted and creased, and people may not be aware that something is happening. Of course, when there is a stronger wind, that's when you start finding shingles all over. Many times you would notice fascia wraps hanging, downspouts, gutters. With the siding, if you're seeing a lot of unlocked siding or something hanging, that's definitely, you know you have wind damage. When it comes to hail, this may be tricky. It all depends on, number one, the size of that hail. If it's if it's more than an inch in diameter, there is a high chance it will cause damage. Another factor is when you have hail and wind combined. That's at a certain direction. It may cause damages to both shingles and siding, and obviously if it's a tornado, that's you would see it. It's I hope there was nothing that severe that when it can destroy the entire property.
My husband would probably still sleep through it.
Well, I didn't hear any sirens or alarms on my phone, but I did hear the thunderstorm, so I'm not sure. I live in Lewis Center, whether we didn't have it or I just
I don't think you did, because I live north of you, and we didn't. Usually Delaware County, if they set off an alarm, it is for the entire county.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't have anything either, so I think Franklin County got it, but I don't think we had anything up here.
Okay, well then, because I would be surprised that I didn't hear it.
Yeah. Well, you are a man. So that would be par for the course.
I do sleep through a lot, or pretend to sleep through a lot. Like, I have to get up and help with that child that's awake. No, I'm still asleep.
Yes.
That's what happened this morning with me.
Yeah. Like I learned, I have to go to bed
Please
before
don't watch
my
this,
husband.
Renee.
Yeah. Renee's very supportive of all we do, but I learned fairly early in my marriage that I should probably go to bed before my husband, since he would go to bed and go to sleep like that and be snoring, and then I couldn't sleep, and I would toss and turn for hours. So yeah, he can sleep pretty solid. But we have aluminum siding versus the vinyl siding. Which gets easier damaged by hail?
Well, aluminum, absolutely. So with aluminum, the hail size does not really matter much, as even if it's like only ½ inch in diameter. With the directional wind, you would see those dings, and that if they're there. And aluminum siding is not that hard to cause damage. That is already damaged, and that is something that we strongly suggest for you to file a claim, because yes, the house is still safe. It is moisture proof, but cosmetically it is damaged. And sometimes you may not be able, but the adjusters or inspectors for insurance companies, they chalk it to see that way it would reveal those dents.
Oh, that makes sense. So
What if
if you couldn't see it
dents?
depending on the size of it or depending on the color of the siding, they'll take chalk to it, and then it kind of reveals it.
Well, normally a good adjuster would see it right away. I mean, I have a trained eye. I used to do a little bit of adjusting and inspecting for insurance companies, so I would.
That gives you an edge too.
Immediately notice, particularly with aluminum siding. And then if we see something on the siding, many times on the downspouts, window screens, this is when definitely there is a high chance of having damage to your shingles as well. And the trick with, the caveat of hail damage is that if it wasn't like size of a baseball, you would not really notice anything, and then the damage would occur. However, you wouldn't have any leaks for a few years, and it takes a more severe impact to create a hole. However, if it's say 1.25 inch size hail that can put a ding in your shingles, it will damage the basically the first layer of protection, the granules, then even penetrate through the matting, and then later over a course of a year or even few years, rain would wash that asphalt away, and all of a sudden you may start having leaks all over. And in a way, insurance companies take advantage of that, because here in Ohio, typically, most policies have 12 months. You have 12 months to file that claim. But with hail damage, some carriers even limit that, and that would be in your policy that it's no longer than 6 months after that event. So even if you have a legitimate damage, it's damaged, but you were filing it after that deadline, they won't cover it. And that's why it does make sense to inspect it, just to see. And there is no way you could actually see it from the ground level. I mean, unless it's really, really big hail.
Like, say, for example, my siding. Since it's aluminum siding, I have what looks like hail damage. I haven't looked at it today, but say, we got hail, but maybe it did or did not damage it yesterday or this morning. Can you still file a claim since
But
it
it
was
did
this
damage
time?
it this
Well, I
morning.
don't know.
But
I
it
haven't
did.
seen yet.
Well,
It did.
well,
Can it be like a cumulative damage?
well, first of all, as a policy holder, your policy is ultimately your agreement or a contract between you and your insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
So both of you have rights and responsibilities. So it is your responsibility to report a claim. If you suspect you do have damage related to a storm, unless you report it, insurance company will never know it.
Right.
And later on, they will use that against you, because insurance companies are not in business just paying everyone. they try to minimize losses. It is a normal thing, but sometimes I even hear from some homeowners, property owners, really weird things like, oh, I've been with this insurance company for 15, 20 years. I never filed a claim.
Mm-hmm.
I really love my insurance company. They take care of me. They never raise my premiums or they give me discounts. Well, first of all, insurance policy is not a tax. It is a service you're buying. You're paying for it. And if like an act of God or nature, particularly windstorm, hailstorm, is exactly why you're paying. In fact, the majority of that premium actually covers the weather events. How often do you see houses catch on fire, and burn down to the ground?
Yeah, that's horrifying.
But situations with weather like today happen quite often. So, well, there is a very complicated math behind when underwriters use to calculate the certain risks, and obviously weather events is something that happens very often. But if you do not notice it at the right moment, if the damage occurred a few years ago, any adjuster would know that this is old.
Okay.
So that's why, if you try to answer your original question, if you think something happened, you seeing new damage, or you never noticed it, but you noticed it, say, today. Well, at the very least, you can do two things. You can either call a good contractor to just inspect it, and typically most companies would do it for free. Well, you could call Max Force, and we'll come inspect it, and we would tell you right away whether we believe there is storm-related damage. If there is none, I would never recommend you to file that claim. However, you do not need a contractor for that. You can file a claim on your own, and the insurance company is supposed to take that claim and assign an inspector who will come and inspect your property, and then they will inform you if there is anything that is damaged. Well, then, once determination is made that the damage happened, this is a whole new process starts. We basically, they will have to determine the correct scope of loss, meaning what has to be done to restore the property to
make it whole.
The prior condition, to the condition prior to that sudden event that have caused the damages. And this is where it goes into the grayest area possible, because that's when insurance companies again try to minimize the losses. You, as an insured, you do want the property to remain in the same condition. If you have mortgage on the property, your bank would have that property as a collateral, and they also interested in keeping that property whole in that same shape, and that's why they require you to have insurance.
Well, what if there's only, like, say, there's 4 sides to a house, but there's only hail damage on the back?
Well, good question. So there are times when, technically, when I said the insurance company's job. Well, the policy covers you to restore it to the condition prior to that event.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's possible to do the repairs on that backside and it looks just as good as it was before, then that's the scope of loss. There are times when, well, specifically like in your case, you have aluminum siding.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. Is it white?
It's been painted.
Okay, so it's painted. Okay,
Yeah.
so now, say for instance, you only have damages to one of the elevations,
Mhm.
and they determine, okay, we need to replace that siding. First of all, the Ohio insurance law talks about what the insurer has to do. Well, what the repairs should be to bring it back to the same condition, so it is uniform in color, size, and shape.
Mhm.
And the number one question, is this material even available? Does it come in that specific size? Does it have that specific embossment?
Mhm.
Does it have that specific overlap? And then next thing is the color. If it's painted, that means you have to repaint that wall, and now that new paint may not match the rest of
Rest
it.
of the house.
So this is where they will have to expand the scope to make it basically, if they have to, they'll have to to pay for your painting of the entire property so it looks all the same. Or it could be a situation when the new siding just does not match and you can see it, and that's when they'll have to
Replace the whole thing.
replace the
Wow.
whole thing,
Yeah.
And
Well, that's a lucky situation.
Yeah.
well, it's not about lucky. It's about as a contractor,
Hmm.
I have to do the repairs
Yeah.
Certain way.
to make sure that I follow Ohio building codes.
Yeah, of course.
I have to follow manufacturer's instructions for the installations. And if I find any specific argument where I'm not able to do that with the scope that insurance company approved, we immediately file a supplement where we explain, okay, hey, we disagree with the scope.
Yeah.
Here are the reasons. Here's why. And then basically we submit all of that information to the adjuster, and the adjuster is supposed to take a look and agree or disagree, and then we kind of go back and forth. Well, good adjuster, experienced adjuster would understand that immediately.
Mhm.
Good carrier would normally want to take care of their insureds. However, again,
Some are better than others.
they're not so
They vary.
happy to spend all that money.
Mhm.
They can build another stadium or
Yeah.
Yeah.
or pay themselves another $100 million in bonuses.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know that
But-
for the consumer, that in that situation,
There's laws.
there's laws that are keeping them safe, and there's rules you abide by that then you are hoping the insurers abide by or should abide by. But it's going to make the house whole, like you said.
Mhm.
And instead of one side getting replaced, not looking uniform, now the insured is paying their deductible either way,
Mhm.
and they're getting all new siding, and the house looks perfect. And
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
that's great for the person that lives at the house, and it's great to be provided that service.
Well, at the same time, this has to be all fair. So
Mhm.
sometimes there are certain people, contractors, who'd like to take advantage of that,
Mhm.
and they may be requesting unjustifiably high scope, and there are situations when you are able to repair it and it's gonna look just as good as it was before, and if that's possible, that's the right thing to do. But again, every case is different, and there was a lot of different materials, a lot of different situations. So that's where I mean, in general, it's not a very straightforward process, although it's supposed to be. But typically, when we work on a claim, it takes, on average, 4 to 6 weeks to
to
get it approved,
to get it finalized.
Okay.
Yes. Well, sometimes you meet a very good seasoned adjuster who's been doing it for many years. Typically, they know right away. And I prefer to work with somebody who is experienced, because we can speak the same language. And then there are situations when there is somebody who just 3 months working for the insurance company. They're super afraid that they're gonna accidentally pay way too much, and then being responsible for that. So they may stall with no reason, just because they
just
don't.
to make sure they're probably getting another opinion.
Yeah. And but every adjuster should be on your side, because you're paying them for the service.
That's right. I agree with that. Yeah. So outside of like storm damage or repairs, Max Force, do you do, like, say I'm ready to renovate my house and I want to put a whole new outside on it? What kind of what kind of services do you provide with that? What materials or sidings do you guys use? Do you get into hardy plank, smart siding? Do you do vinyl? We've been talking about. What do you do in that situation? What does Max Force provide for a consumer wanting to renovate?
Okay, well, we definitely do retail work, ranging from small repairs to complete renovations of the exterior, and that is roofing, siding, fascia, gutters, those kind of things. And obviously there are all kinds of different materials. I would say we deal pretty much with every single type of material out there. I would say we do not deal a lot with slate, but when it comes to asphalt shingles of any kind, metal roofs ranging from standing seam, raised rib, there are all kinds of different metal roofing systems. We deal with commercial roofing, like membranes, like EPDM rubber, PVC, TPO. On the siding side, well, of course, vinyl is the most common material that is used, and we work with a number of different manufacturers. We deal with cedar siding. We work with metal siding. Well, I'm trying to think. Well, pretty much wood shake. We do have. Actually, I just started working with a new manufacturer, and we have really, really cool alternatives as for actually slate and wood shake roofing.
Oh wow!
Very
cool.
There are certain areas where homeowners associations require you. Yes, like
you
in
have
Dublin.
to have the wood. Yeah.
And this is where actually there is a material that has significantly longer life expectancy, because wood, like cedar wood shake. This is probably one of the most expensive roofing systems.
And I've never understood it for Ohio.
Yeah, and it lasts for really the life expectancy is probably 15 years. It's like asphalt shingle lasts longer. There is this very special looks to it, and the rest of the
looks good.
It looks
It
really
would look better in a climate that didn't have 178 days of doom and gloom.
Yes, but we do have an alternative that actually is very comparable with the cost. It's not a cheap material, but it has 50-year warranty on it.
Oh wow!
And
all you Dublinites that need to get that roof replaced, 50 years versus 10 to 15. Wow.
Yeah, well, that wood cedar shake roof may last longer, but you do have to do regular maintenance
on it.
because every once in a while,
wood soaking up water.
And going back to the insurance situation, say for instance, this strong wind today blew off a few wood shingles. So in this specific situation, unfortunately, insurance company will never pay to replace the entire roof unless you have like half of your roof missing.
But there's almost no way to get it to look exactly the same because it's aged over time, so it changes colors.
But this is
I would think
this is the situation where actually Ohio law does talk about the uniformity. But there was a specific case that happened when one of the insurance carriers had a court case where they actually proved that with specifically wood shingles, over time it would weather to match, and that specifically created
a little loophole.
Yes, so
genius.
With if you only have like 5-10 wood shingles missing, chances are it's not even worth filing the claim because after your deductible, you're not really you're wasting that claim. But unfortunately, with many other or pretty much with every other material, well, probably similar thing with slate. But everything else, there is a lot higher chance of getting the entire thing approved for replacement. Again, because of the material, the way, the compatibility, the repairability, the color. So there are all kinds of different aspects.
Wow. Very cool.
So now I think Slavi had mentioned to me previously that you also do gutter guards. Is that?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, gutter guards is one of the probably simplest projects of all. We do not offer anything fancy like they show on those TV commercials, and they charge insane amount of money. It does look cool. I've seen one demo unit.
But who's up on top of their gutters looking?
Yeah, they have these things that they install to cover, and they show how the water is kind of running and curls down and nothing gets in. Well, it only works in perfect conditions when you have severe weather and a lot of rain. So all of that water that's supposed to end up be collected in your gutters and then go into the drains
runs right off.
It just shoots over. That's why we do have a gutter guard that is a very sturdy, nothing fancy. It's not that cheap material that you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's a little bit more expensive, but great value. And I did put, gutter guards on my mom's house, so I can tell you, you do not have to spend too much money on that as long as you're using quality products.
Yeah, and the only thing with those, don't the granules from the shingles still get into any of those?
Yes.
So you still need to kind of wash through them or whatever?
No.
Okay.
So the gutter guard that we use, it has the openings of a specific diameter that would allow any smaller debris to get in, and then it'll be washed away with the rainwater. And that's not a big problem. The gutter guard serves one function. It keeps your drains unclogged, and there is no perfect gutter guard as well. If you have a huge tree with lots of leaves,
we do.
You would still have those leaves on your roof, on top of your gutter guards. But the idea is that the sun will dry them out, and then wind would just
blow them off.
Yeah. Well, still, maybe once every 7-8 years, you might need to just swipe
'Cause
that's
it's not
something
like
that
we
is
get
stuck.
sun that often.
But you don't have to dig into the gutter.
Yeah.
It's
right.
super easy to do, and you don't have to do it every year.
Just stand at the top of the A-frame ladder with the leaf blower button.
Yeah. Well, and every time we install gutter guards on existing gutters, obviously we clean them first and then cover the gutter guards. And we also, if somebody needs to replace the gutters, this is the moment when we can do both at the same time. And again, those gutters many times get damaged by hail.
I could see. I mean, they're aluminum for the most part, so I could easily see that.
Yep.
Well, it can range. I mean, I've seen some gutters that look. It's like it was a lot of beating.
We've seen some that I could swear people actually just beat them. So
Yeah, hit with baseball bats.
Yes.
But it happens.
Well, let me speak about something that is being hit by a baseball bat. Okay,
Uh-oh.
so I mean, first of all, we're talking about storm damages. We're talking about acts of God or nature. That is something that your policy definitely covers. Well, unfortunately, occasionally there are situations when somebody is trying to replicate the damage and just grab a hammer and do something stupid. Well, that's straightforward fraud. And unfortunately, there are even contractors who may create that just to.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I hope it does not happen too often. However, insurance companies are not stupid. Adjusters are not stupid. I can see man-made damage right away. I've seen lots of forensics reports when engineers get involved, and there are ways to determine what actually caused the damage. And there is a different scenario when somebody vandalized it.
Okay,
That's definitely covered, but obviously it's man-made, but somebody did it on purpose. That wouldn't fall into the storm damage category, but typically any homeowner's insurance would cover that as well.
Well, we've had people tell us that because they're getting a home warranty and the AC or the furnace or whatever is on its last leg, but it isn't dead yet. And they're like, oh, I can make it happen. And I'm like, they can tell. They can tell. It's not worth it because then you're going to void your warranty and
pay for a $10,000 HVAC unit.
Well, if I see a property and I see that somebody attempted to create damage that does not look like it was a real natural damage, typically I do not wish to work with homeowners like that.
Yes.
That something is going on. We do not want to be part of any fraud, and and if I have doubts, I would I'd politely decline.
Refer them to your worst competition.
I wouldn't even do that to my competition. It's these are the situations. I may just indicate that right away. It's just it doesn't look natural. It's because the homeowner may actually had nothing to do with that. It could be a different contractor who came and did something. So this is where when we do our inspections, we document everything, and even if we do not find damage, we keep those photo reports for the future, and that way, if an actual storm happens, we have a whole set of pictures with timestamps on them where we can say, well, there was nothing here before, and now it's new damage. And that's something where there could be a situation when there may be doubts. Is this new or is this old? Well, on asphalt shingles, many times we can tell that. On aluminum siding, it's really hard to tell.
Okay.
And because it's metal. Unless it's very old, when you would see some rust or something.
Okay. So if people are struggling from storm damage and they want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Well, they can call us directly.
Okay.
They can go to maxforceroofing.com.
Okay.
And there is a form they can request service. Yeah,
okay.
That's and we typically respond pretty quick.
Okay.
Even I know there are situations when people need emergency tarps. There is water leaking, and many times to help people, we can do it within 24 hours.
Okay. Yeah, and you
That's
said
great.
you're definitely all about getting those tarps out to people who need them. So
Yes,
that's good.
and actually we do want to be helping people. The emergency tarp services are not really cheap. Typically, the cost starts at like $250 depending on the size. However, we do occasionally, and if somebody sees me or listens to this podcast and reaches out to me and or to our office and says, I need your help. There are situations when people do not have any money. This is not related to a storm, but they do need some help, and that's when we can make it $50 a tarp just to help them out, and there is no strings attached. It's not that. We would be happy to offer them actual work to replace or repair, but sometimes we believe we need to be helping and
great.
giving back to the community.
That just goes to show how honest you are and how you're still hardworking, even though you might not be getting compensated for that. You want to do the right thing by the consumer.
Yeah, well, and I do believe that if we give, sooner or later they will remember and they will refer to.
And they'll refer you to other people.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we feel too about things. So we usually go the extra mile because we know it pays off in the long run. So
it feels
benefits
good.
it benefits the consumer, and hopefully we hope that we get referred out of it. But first and foremost, we want to take care of our consumers, and we know you do too. So we appreciate that. And glad to have you with us today. So, again, thanks for joining us. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe at Shannon Grimm Realtor, and
comment and hit that notification bell.
And share.
Thank you.